What is up, everybody? How are we doing on a beautiful Wednesday evening here in Pennsylvania? No rain. We haven't gotten a lot of rain this year, and it's getting chilly, and it's going to be cold for Thanksgiving, but it's November and it's Pennsylvania, so that's kind of what we come to expect. So, before I say hi to everybody, a couple things to tell you. This will be the last live that I do from my house. So as you guys told you guys before, moving in with Brooke, her house is a little bit bigger. My kids aren't here anymore, so there's no reason for me to be here. So we have an extra room over there, so I'll have different things in the background here and stuff like that. So that'll be like believe me, it's a big step in progress. It's you don't realize how much shit you accumulate in 20 years. And I've lived here since 2004. So I've lived here for 20 years, a little bit over 20 years. So that's going on. So I haven't been able to do as much as I wanted to do here. Once I get settled, I'll be able to do more. And I have some good content coming up here for early December. It has nothing to do with true crime, but it's a very personal thing in my life. And I'm going to share it with you guys. And I'll let a couple of you know, but not right now. So hopefully that'll be something that's cool. And I always I'm always real. You can like me or not, but I'll give it to you straight. And I'm the same way that I'm going to be outside if you ever meet me. Anyone that met me before will tell you the same. I'm going to be going on a little bit later with Frank Meister tonight. He's on at 8 o'clock. He has a big panel of a lot of people. I don't know exactly everybody who, so I'm not going to name names. But there's going to be some big creators up there. And he's going to do like a post-conviction show. I wouldn't call mine that. This is going to be like the bookend for Delphi for the coverage that I've given it thus far. I'm not a legal channel. I'm not going to cover an appeal or anything like that. If there's another trial or something like that happens, then of course back into it. But this is just kind of a bookend for me for this Delphi coverage. I would still help the family in any way that I possibly could if they ever needed me. I'm sure if they needed to get a hold of me, they could, and any events or any fundraising things. We talked about doing a softball game maybe next year with YouTube creators or subs or everybody, have a softball game. Hopefully nobody gets hurt out at the field for maybe a fundraiser. That would be really cool to do with the families there and, 6-8 months post conviction. It's not a day. It wasn't a day to celebrate. If you watched the quick live that I did a live and said there wasn't going to be a verdict till 3 o'clock. As I was doing that live, they were reading the verdict. So then I jumped right back on. But hearing the verdict, I obviously think that Richard Allen was guilty. He's now a convicted 2-time child murderer. That's a fact of the matter. If people think he's appeal or this or that very well might be. But as we stand here today, I think it's November 13th, 2024, Richard Allen is a 2-time convicted child murderer. And that's just how it is. But it was a weird feeling. It was more of I don't know if it was like a relief feeling, but for me, I felt like, okay, this is the end of this for me on this case, so to speak. On talking about it, we're not going to come back and rehash things like we have before, talk about people's opinions and theories. You never necessarily got a definitive, this is what happened. I hold out hope that Richard Allen truly did find a higher power, whatever power that is. And if he truly did that, he's going to come out and say, listen, I need to get right. I need to cleanse my soul. And maybe we'll finally hear what happened, if that happens. Now, one of the things that I find very interesting, before I say hi to everybody, Hidden True Crime, Laura and Dr. John, he said about Richard Allen's dependent personality disorder, and which I've never really heard of before, and I know very little about it. But basically, you have to have somebody there. You have to have someone near you. You're just dependent on someone. It doesn't mean you're mean to them or anything like that. Doesn't mean that you're crazy. And again, Richard Allen, in my opinion, he's not crazy. He is not insane. He's a very cogent thoughts, I believe. But so based on this, you take away, the defense plays on that, maybe, and says, well, hey, we're going to make you dependent on me. You tell the family members, hey, this is bullshit. They're messing with them up there. And this is how they worked it. I'm split between that, and I'm split between him running the attorneys in some way, shape, or form, like somehow masterminding this. I'm not a psychologist. That dependent personality disorder was diagnosed by 2 psychologists. They're much smarter than me. But I always pictured him as like a sociopathic. Doesn't mean he's not a sociopath too, but I just found it very interesting that he pointed that out, that maybe they jumped on that. And then Dr. John also pointed out that a lot of the people, the vitriol, not people that says, hey, I think Richard Allen was innocent and the jury got this wrong, but what are you going to do at the end of the day? If there's an appeal, there's an appeal. Till then, we move on to the next thing. Not those people, but the people that are, going to stay attached to this and do whatever it is they're going to do and say that there's no way that Richard Allen didn't do this. I give Bob Motta credit. I know a lot of people don't like him, probably in my chat, but he said that there's no way that you can't think that he possibly did it. For a defense attorney to say that's a big step. And Motta also reiterated that the jury was sealed. What Judge Gall did with the jury was right. No one ever got to the jury except for a black Jeep that was chasing when filming them one day. And I don't know who that was, but I don't know how many cameras Delphi has. I know in my town you'll be all over it. So you may be getting a letter or something like that. I don't know what they could charge you with. I have no idea, but it's kind of bizarre. But anyways, let's say hi to everybody. And that's kind of what this show is going to be tonight. Just kind of my bookend for the actual case itself. Talk about a couple of things. I posted the link here if anybody wants to come up, as always. And this is about the entire Delphi thing. How did it make you feel? One of the great things about it is the friends that we've all made, probably lifelong friends. And that's what a tribute to Libby and Abby. Something so bad and something so positive could come out at the other end. 2 great friends, lifelong friends. We're there to the end for each other. And listen, let me tell you something. Liberty German solved this crime. Make no mistake about that. She's braver than 10 firemen for what she did. Maybe she didn't know what was encompassing what was going on right away, but is she still behind us? You know what I mean? So she knew that. She wasn't hiding her phone at that point. So I do believe that, and I don't think that's just some grandiose idea. But all righty. Cindy, how are you? Phil Bond, how are you? I saw Phil Bond at the courthouse. Got to meet Phil in Delphi last year. I can't make the floor walks, unfortunately. I don't know if Jinx is in here or someone else can post that. I'll put it up, the floor walk that's coming up here on the anniversary date where we are 3 days from. And you remember for Flora now, this is going to be 7 full years coming up. But we'll talk a little bit about that. There's the StreamYard link. It's up there if anyone would like to come up, talk about anything. SP, how are you doing? 63, good to see you. Oh, and we're going to do that extra members only when I set that thing as no one could chat. The other day, you guys were able to listen, but that's the whole point of it's for the chat for me. I'm going to give you the first look at the new house, and we'll do a members only. And I'll let you know a day or 2 ahead of time. CJK, how are you? Good, there's Jinx. BB, how are you? BB's a constant here. I'm in a Discord with him, and a lot of stuff goes on, talking about this and that. But every morning he puts up, Justice for Libby and Abby with the hearts, and it's a good way to ground you. You know what I mean? Maybe you were upset about something or you didn't understand something, but you got to that. JJ's in here somewhere. Sorry I didn't post the time initially. There's Brandon. Yeah, Brandon has some cool stuff. He has porch talks, but they're not like mine. They're different, which is really, really cool, which I like at. Everyone should do a porch talk, and everyone should do it different. Gibbo, one of the funniest people on YouTube. Jill Moser, good to see you. Tanisha, how are you? Good to see you. Getting back to some Flora stuff, Tanisha. I know you were always a big advocate there. There's Gibbo's channel. Entertaining. Oh, JJ, 2-mile walk. Fantastic, man. I walk a mile on the treadmill, then I work out for like 25 minutes. I'm building myself up. We have a Jacob's ladder to young guys. You ever see one of them? Like, you just keep climbing it, man. We got some guys that are animals, but those are the guys that run up on the roof. It fires. I'll rather be in the burning house on the pipe. CJK, thank you. All right. That's awesome. That's great. I know after I work out, I feel so much better. I really, really do. Always get the support. And everybody supports each other too. Oh, that's okay, Big Fish. I like you. I'm glad you like me. But it's to each his own. Really, it truly is. I always view it as a good thing. Maybe it's not. That, like, when other people think about me, I've been able to get to a point where I don't care. It's totally whatever. It's fine. I'm cool with it. Because I got that a lot from coaching high school basketball. But we're good. Yeah, it really was. And it's just it'll always be a shadow over that town. But I hopefully with this moving forward, and you know what? If Richard Allen wants an appeal, there's a process for it. Follow the process and run it out. And if people want to help support his appeal, again, it's a free country to do that. You know what I mean? Do it. Go for it. You know, and if something comes out, we're wrong, then we'll come back and say we were wrong. I have a problem doing that. But it just, you know, and again, it's not a right or wrong thing. We're not about right or wrong, and not teams, just teams. There's no teams. One team. There's justice. I believe it was served. Other people don't. Probably people in this chat that are really cool don't, and we're okay with that. But I'm pretty sure when we get to Florida, we're all going to be pretty close. There's still going to be people that are going to tie Delphi and Odinism and all kind of other things, you know, but it's just, to me, it's not that at all. But it's Florida has legs, folks. Florida is really being investigated well, and that's all I'm going to say about it. I'm not part of any investigation. That's a good point, SP. Someone finally listened to Richard Allen. Yeah. You know, maybe there is, you know, there is something in his heart. I don't know. If that comes out, maybe that gives the families the ultimate, like, okay, we can accept that apology, or we can't accept, no, won't accept it. I don't know how I would feel. The Patties are pretty remarkable people. To be perfectly honest with you, if God forbid if it was one of my kids, I think I'd be more the Anna Williams route, and even more the Derek German route. Like, I can't talk about this. I don't want to come out. I can't do it. I just can't do it. And I could feel for both of those people. I really, truly, truly do. But yeah, Dr. John is very good. It's called Hidden True Crime. Lauren, Dr. John, her husband and wife. He is like don't quote me on his title, but like a forensic psychologist type deal. He also commented, and I don't know how I feel about this, that he thought that the Richard Allen's sister and daughter lied on the stand. And that was like, whoa. But, you know, people could dissect if they need it, if they want. Yeah, I could see people on both sides of this, Tanisha. And I'm one that's like, I've seen it in other cases that people have done things for years. Dennis Rader's wife and daughter, Carrie. Rob Rorson, I think is how you say her last name. Apologize if I'm getting that wrong. She comes out and says the only time she ever saw rage in her dad was someone spilled spaghetti on the floor, and like the sight of the spaghetti on the floor was like blood, and it triggered him because he was what John Douglas called fastidious, and he wouldn't have done that. He wouldn't have dropped blood on the floor. He would have done, you know what I mean? But her coming out and saying what you said, I can understand how people were upset about that. But to me, someone said those words to her before she came out of the courthouse. That's just my opinion, but I have a very strong opinion on it. Someone looked at Kathy and said, "This isn't over yet," and she reiterated those words. I can't have no proof of that. I'm not there, but I have a very strong opinion that she reiterated those words. Why can't I say reiterated? I apologize. Yeah, I'm going to go back and start watching stuff on them CJK, because that's another thing I'm going to get back into, Long Island serial killer, that trial. It's interesting, JJ. I feel the same way as you. I'm very interested to see if if he really found God and he did this act, like he's been adjudicated guilty of, and like I believe he did, that would be the I would think the godlike thing to do. I'm no holy man or telling anyone else how to do anything or any way, shape, or form like that. I'm same as everybody, which is where I like to be. Put me in the middle with everyone else. Yeah, I see where people come from with that, and I don't know. I don't know that much about her. Limited exposure. Don't hear her talking a lot. Obviously, she believes that he did it or has a chance of doing it in that early interview whenever he tells her he was at the trails and she was like, why didn't you tell me you were on the bridge? To me, that was my eureka moment. Like, wow, Kev, you were right about this. And that one single fact will not make you guilty in no way, shape, or form. But why would you tell your wife you were at the trails but not on the bridge? Because obviously we know the picture on the bridge. So now she's going to look. She knows that's him on the bridge at that point. But if you listen to the rest of that interview, they say he has dependent personality disorder, but he's playing a sociopath in that interview. He's controlling her. He's pulling the strings, the marionette strings on her. You know me. I didn't do this. I'm paraphrasing. But the most important line to me in that was, I know you. He said to her, I know you. Not a threat, nothing like that. But that is a very pat someone on the head, like I own you, kid type way. And to me, that was his initial thing. Everyone reacts differently. What would you do in that situation? I'd be screaming top of my lungs. Fuck you, motherfuckers. This, not me. I'm sorry for swearing, but you're out of your goddamn mind, and I'm walking out of here. And I know that it's easy to say different things until you're in that thing, but I think that my natural reaction for something like this wasn't like, hey, did you draw some dicks on a wall at work? This, I think, would be, a visceral reaction for me personally, and I think for a lot of other people. But that little thing where he told her he was there but not on a bridge, I mean, here it is. The Flora Memorial Walk, November 17th, 4 p.m. at the train depot station in Flora. If anyone needs to know any more information, you could email me, kevlar148@gmail.com. Go to Jinx's YouTube page, comment on something, she'll see it. To get whoever's going to get there. And every year, and I know the year that I was there, Jinx gave out T-shirts, here, the guest of the size, got it right. And out of her own pocket and did that. I have a hoodie that I actually think In the Archive bought at one point. And I wear it all the time. I wore it today to the chiropractor. So, yes. Here's the phone number. Anyone knows something, if anyone's watching this from the community or, now that the Delphi thing has happened, I know people think like, well, people aren't going to tip anything in anymore. Well, if you did the crime, don't tip yourself in, I think is the lesson here. I don't think it's going to be this, we're not going to tip anyone in anymore. If you were at the scene with those clothes on, told your wife you were at the trails but not on a bridge, didn't see bridge guy, didn't say you didn't see the girls, but these other people saw someone like you, dressed like you. Betsy Blair was 150 feet away, roughly 150 feet away, to make out a face or anything like that. But as soon as they all saw the picture, they said, yeah, that was the person that we saw. Well, hey, you know what I mean? It's. But again, we talked about projection before, so I hope to give you some insight and understanding, like the people that are still blaming the family, but just so you understand where they're coming from. I'm not saying agree with them. I'm not saying actually ignore them, but you can understand now why they're that way. And that's not in every case, but I would say by and large, in every human being, not just you two. I don't think she's dealing with, I see both sides of this. I see Brandon's side and I see Big Fish's side of this, and both sides are valid. People are very mad. How could you not know? How could you not know that was my husband? And you know what? Maybe a lot of people would notice, but to put yourself in her situation, and I feel like she's going to be manipulated in this process. And I think that that's sad. Like if Richard comes and wants to say, Kathy, I need to tell you everything that happened. This was me. But we're still going to go through with this process. That would mean he wasn't saved. That would mean he is probably sociopathic, master manipulator type. But I don't know. I just think that I have a hard time assessing her blame, but I understand if people assess her blame and don't assess her blame. Because you could say, I knew that would be my husband the way he walks. And I would think so too. Like if I was Brooke walking across that bridge, which she wouldn't want to walk out there with the way it is now. But I would think that too, but I don't know. But part of your brain's going to say, wow, if I let myself admit that this is my husband, then what comes with it? So there's a lot of things at play there. But I understand both sides of that argument. But I would err on the side that maybe she didn't know, Dennis Rader's wife, daughter. So many of these people did so many things for so long, and they had wives that didn't know about it. And not this one-time incident that we know of with Richard Allen, and when people talk about serial, Pat Brown said it's really, really great. Pat Brown, the profiler, not the Delphi resident. Pat Brown said this outstanding. She's like, I'm not saying, she argues with the FBI for serial killer. They said it was 3, now it's 2, separated by time and distance, space, however you want to put it. She says it could be 1, even though they haven't killed anyone else yet. And for a crime like this to happen, he had to have fantasized about this. You don't see somebody drunk on a trail and do something like this. You fantasized about this for probably a long time, something to this effect, okay? Maybe the murder, maybe not the murder. Maybe just the 2 girls are going to go with you and, whatever the case may be. But you fantasized about this outdoor, maybe that spot, maybe not that spot, but it was fantasized about, and that is serial killer tendency. A lot of people have different fantasies about a lot of different things, and they're not illegal. Maybe you're into some weird kink fetish sex with another adult. Go for it. It's America. You know what I mean? I don't want to care to see it necessarily, but go for it by all means. But they might have things that are past that, but they don't act on those things. That's the difference between regular people and people that commit murder, serial killer, this type of homicide. That's why the FBI thought it was a serial killer. The way the bodies were moved, things missing right away, things missing from the scene. Imagine that. A normal guy that wants to do this, or let's say it's a hitman, he's not going to take a sock with him, walk down the street with him. Now, if he gets caught with that sock, he's dead to rights. He wants to get as much distance and space from that scene as he possibly can. And he's not going to tip himself in. He's not going to cover any groups or go in any Facebook or YouTube groups or anything like that. He's going to stay away as long as he possibly can, or she. Thank you, YouTube bad actors. JJ, that's awesome. You'll see really great people there. Meet some really great people. Get some pictures of JJ and send them to me. Wear a Michigan sweatshirt. Yeah, I don't know how far people could get. I know a lot of people have threatened people all around on this over this case, and this was my first time seeing anything like this. First time getting into like true crime, and yeah, man, I fired my shots too when someone threatened to blow up the ballpark. So never when anyone said anything about me, because you could say what you like. It's opinion. Your opinion and others' opinion of me are none of my business. So feel free to opinionate away. All that you like. Chris Watts, yeah. Yeah, and you know what, SP? So, I really don't think that Richard Allen's wife and mother are bad people, and I don't think you're insinuating that, but I get what you're saying. Chris Watts, his dad, never talked to defense attorneys. Would that defense attorney, if that's what happened, because I'm on the fence about that, if that's what happened, and talk to them ahead of time and said, listen, he's going to say all kind of crazy shit. But remember, he didn't have discovery when he started saying this shit. Could he have been there? They were saying he's loony. He was going crazy. He wasn't installed in the hole. He's constantly watched. He's constantly monitored. He has clothes on. He's not naked. Suicide watch one thing. Then he's in protective custody. He's probably going back to I would imagine the same cell or a similar cell, or a cell with other child murderers where they're not going to take each other out. But I get what you're saying. But I wonder if a defense attorney got a hold of his dad first, or if dad still would have been like, you gotta, do this. You got to put this out there. I get all this crap that pops up. I don't want that. All right. I don't think it's going to be a shadow. I think it's going to go into people who've kept up with this. Yeah, I mean, I don't mean like a black shadow or like a rain cloud, but it's going to just be like, I don't know. I don't live there. I've only been to the trails once, but like you go to them trails, you're going to think about that. Maybe that could be a good way. You know what I mean? And by that, I mean only this, that like, wow, them girls stuck together. They helped catch their own killer. If you take Bridge Guy video out of the scenario, could he still be convicted? Well, yeah, but I don't know, is the bullet, is that enough? I don't know. I think they needed everything together here. I think they needed what ended up being a mountain of circumstantial evidence. And that's convicts people every day. 90% of the cases don't have DNA. Doesn't mean that they don't have other different evidence or things like that. But I think you kind of needed all that together. And then once you looked at that mountain of things and you could say, okay, well, if all these things aren't true, then this over here has to be true. There had to be another guy that was dressed just like him that didn't see him, that, whatever the case may be. And one of the big things, the big question marks, and again, people, you can do what you want to do, but for people that are just so like, there's no way he could be guilty. There's no way he's 100% innocent. Not saying that there's going to be reversible error and saying, hey, this was adjudicated incorrectly. People that are saying that technicality, that's different than people who are saying he's absolutely 100% innocent. But people, they're staking quite a bit to a guy who we still don't know where he was during the event. If it's not him, he never gave us an alibi ever. And that doesn't mean that if you don't have an alibi that you're guilty. But for people to just refuse to accept a unanimous 12-person jury of peers verdict and, think that there's someone else that did it, it's free, free platform in a free country. And if you feel strongly like that, then you should do what you're doing. You should, try to find whatever happened in this case or whatever you think you did. Just, I think that could be done without attacking family members or attacking other people. I think it could be done, but there's an audience for it, right? People's subs have gone up across the board that were defense supporters, and good for them and the work that they're doing, I guess. But that's, there's an audience for it, so people will continue to do it. But I think you could still do that and do it in an honorable way and not like in a disgusting way. Like some have, not all, some. But again, free country and YouTube's a free platform and people were watching it. So what I think is wrong doesn't mean that it's wrong. It's just my opinion. I know always unpopular opinion, but I implore people to give people on the other side a little time to process the guilty. Yeah, it's rough. And I would never dance on anyone's grave in any way, shape, or form. You know what I mean? It's what I expected to happen. But I understand that people have invested stuff, but I wouldn't have attacked them anyway. And, and people said, what if he was found innocent? And I've told you before, and anytime I've told you something, it's been true, and I've always followed up on it. I said, well, I still might think that he's the killer, but that's the system. There's no double jeopardy in this country. You can't try him again. And that's it. I would still be at where I am now. I'd be doing a show about Richard Allen was guilty. I don't think he is, but hey, there's nothing we could do about it now. There truly isn't. So that's where I would be. But, people have invested a lot here, and hey, Miranda, good to see you. Olivia, I don't think I said hi to you. I don't have anything to show you tonight, but I have a couple other things. Excuse me. That's interesting because, again, I'm not there to hear it, and I didn't really hear a bunch of other people saying that. But, yeah, he said that, and I thought that was very interesting. Excuse me. Jeez Louise. But could there be reasons for it? Absolutely. Maybe they don't want that brought up. Maybe it's embarrassing. I don't know, but I would expect that if Richard Allen does confess to his family, he says, "Listen, this is let me tell you what happened," and I think that would be involved too if he did it. If he did that, I can't say for sure. Obviously, I know a lot of people in here don't like Bob. Yeah, that was tough. That was tough, CJK, for sure. The way people talked, everybody involved in that, it looked really bad. Absolutely, things shouldn't have been said. The only defense I would make for Mata is out of the people that talked, there were some very heinous and reprehensible things that were said about families, about being sick of seeing pictures of the girls and things like that. But at the end of the day, he's a defense attorney. And I know people will say CJK might say this, well, maybe he crossed over the line. He walked out of the courthouse with his arm around Kathy Allen. Maybe I'm a sucker, but I think that moment was a genuine moment. I really do. I watched his show later, and he's like, I didn't know what to do, so I hugged her. She was very upset. And as a guy, I could see that. If I saw like a woman crying, hey, what's wrong, and just automatically try to give comfort. But I could also see what people think, say, hey, these things have crossed the line, this, and that, or whatever. So I get it. I get both sides of it again. But Dr. John Matthias. There you go. He's pretty cool. He talks like, sometimes you have people like talk down to you that are really smart. They don't even mean to do that. He's not like that. He talks eye level to you. Very important. Yeah, no character witnesses. It's odd. It's odd. Because in this case, in my opinion, because he thought he could control the situation. He knew he could control his wife, and it wasn't with like a beating or anything like that. He would mentally, my opinion, mentally manipulated her, and it's not uncommon for killers to insert themselves into the situation for various reasons. Some want to know what do they know. Some think they're smarter than the police. Some are like criminally insane and just want to do it. And there's some people that are totally innocent of any crime that want to tell people they killed people to get attention. And to normal people, that's crazy. Who would do that? Crazy people would do that. But I just believe that, he knew that he was seen there that day for whatever reason. Why he still acted, I don't know. Jinx, I didn't read that before I said it. Well, you said that 10 minutes before me, 16 minutes before me. That bothers me a lot that he didn't tell her that he was on the bridge. It doesn't bother me, but it makes me think like, let me catch up with the chat a little bit. I watched part of Mata. They're going to do well, hopefully, if they do a GoFundMe and people want to donate their hard-earned money, hopefully it goes to that fund. I still haven't, maybe it doesn't matter. I didn't send any money, but where'd the money go for the witnesses? I think it would be good at the end of this case, the same way it is for Doug Carter, can take that stage, retired or not, and be like, let me explain to you what happened. And Doug Carter's not going to say this, but early on, we fucked up. We screwed the pooch on X, Y, and Z. And it took us 5 years, which should have took us 2 or 3 days. And we would have had much more evidence against Richard Allen. We would have had more things. He wouldn't have been able to get rid of things or do X, Y, and Z. Maybe would have got the 2017 phone. Maybe not. I don't know. But at the same time, I think that the defense should come out, or Hennessy, who got the money, and should say, hey, listen, you guys were awesome. You donated 40 grand, and we gave $15,000 to this person, 10,000, just so you know where your money went. And I know a lot of people, they don't even want to know where their money went. That's up to them. It's their money at the end of the day. But if it's going to what it's supposed to go to, you can have GoFundMes. There's actually, if anyone ever needs to have a GoFundMe, you're right, Jinx. I'm seeing that because they shut it down before. Someone started a GoFundMe for him before, and they wouldn't do for murderers. Now he's adjudicated. He's a double child murderer. So you're not gonna be able to do one for that. I don't think. I think you're right on that. Me, Joe Rogan, and Kim Kardashian. I like Joe Rogan. I like a lot of his shows. He has interesting people. I like that he brings everybody on. I think he's really cool, and they will either like smoke some weed or drink, and it's good. Jinx gives out free tea. Absolutely, I have 2 of them. I can attest to that. So anyone that says that Jinx doesn't give out free shirts, you're just mistaken. You're incorrect. If you do, it's still tip yourself in. I don't think you're trying to be funny, but I'm laughing, but I get what you're saying. I get it. Free. Yes. Free is good. Not too much free anymore nowadays, huh? If true, probably not. He had a stepdad. Never knew. I don't know how much he knew his real dad, but he had a stepdad was in court. His real dad passed away. So I don't know what had happened in his life or had transgressed in his life or anything like that. Yeah, he told her. He said in one of the interviews, I think it was the first one. I could be mistaken about it. The 13th of October. That he had talked to his wife and she kind of like says, hey, you need to go in or whatever. But he didn't tell her that he was on the bridge. He told her he was on the trails. Understood, Brandon. I understand both sides. And it's okay for both of you to disagree, and yous are doing it the right way, which is pretty awesome. Banana bread, nuts. Remember, I'm celiac. They make gluten-free banana bread, but yeah, you're right there too, Big Fish. She could come out and who knows? She might say, hey, listen, this happened or whatever, or I couldn't put myself in a situation. Remember what empathy is. Empathy is basically you putting yourself in someone else's shoes and trying to like, how would I react? And you think you would try to know I would react, but it's tough. I agree with you too, Tanisha. I don't think he did it with force. I think he did it with the noodle. So everybody's in the same hemisphere there. Great chat tonight. I'm 13 minutes behind. Not Tom Webster behind, but he had an awesome panel. I didn't get to do it live, man, but there was just people coming up, and I was holy shit. There's Marv. There's this one and that one. I thought it was really cool. I agree. To me, it means a lot too. And again, that single thing does not mean he's guilty, but holy mackerel, and I'm looking forward to. I tell you what, whenever we do get transcripts and stuff like that, I think it'll be worth revisiting. There'll be people that have better channels, Marv, Frank, they'll do better jobs. Probably Tom Webster, but just to see everything. Like there's still people that said the jury member scream. Frank's like, no, it was Rosie that screamed. Let him answer. That's a good question too. I still, there's coincidences, but like you shouldn't really believe in coincidences and stuff like this. And then the Keegan Klein thing, but I haven't seen anyone bring it up. And obviously the defense wasn't allowed to. One of the things that I heard I can't remember what attorney said, if Gall would have allowed third party, that could have been reversible error because it clearly, it so didn't meet the standard of Indiana law with the nexus. Which I never even knew that law existed. I thought you could go in there and say Bigfoot did it. I never knew that, but every state has a law, and Indiana's is pretty stringent on it. Yeah, but you know what, though? There's a very loud minority, and they're loud, but they're a minority overall that goes after the family. But again, just so we understand, unfortunately for them, they don't have the kind of family that the Patties are. So they're projecting things. There's a lot of jealousy. There's a lot of hurt that you could work through. There's places you could go. There's things you can do. Smoke pot. It's going to help you work through a lot of shit. Well put, Olivia. I think so too. And, for people to say Delphi split, of all the people that are out there, no, everyone's just supports Libby and Abby. You saw that in all the windows. You didn't see Free Allen or any of this. You saw, from the businesses, it was just about Libby and Abby, which I don't know if the defense mentioned them, And one of the things I'm most important I want to look at is when these transcripts come out, did the defense team mention Libby and Abby in their closing argument? I've heard different things from people in court, but I don't know for sure, because if they didn't, to me, that's a giant, huge mistake. Absolutely giant, huge mistake. I know you want to make your client the victim, but I think that would be a giant, huge mistake. Yeah, he got a channel going too. You know what I mean? And again, he's a defense guy. You're not going to come on and say someone's guilty. I don't think it would be good for anyone's business. I don't know if he's a practicing attorney or whatever, but hey, free country, free platform. Yeah, I know a lot of people don't like Bob. That's okay. Wow. I thought that moment was, so that's okay. Looks like the whole chat disagrees with me. Hey, Kathy, talking about Flora. Kathy and Jinx, decorate quite a bit. Kathy's been there since day one. So, yes. Anything we can do, any energies there. Doofus. I've seen the same thing, and here's what I see when I look at that. Kathy's definitely outgoing. Hey, how you doing? Laughing, jumping around, and Richard plays the back, and I think that's by his design. It's probably more comfortable for him like that. He's not necessarily an extrovert, but I think that power and control are big to him. I'm not just quoting Doug Carter press conference, but you could do that from in the back too. But I noticed that right away. And even that video of him sitting in the passenger side of the car, and I'm initially like, there's no way that there's guys gonna be double homicide and let his wife drive. And that doesn't mean it's not being like sexist or anything like that. It's just how these people operate. They need to control everything, and a lot of them are up front controlling everything. So, but I don't know. He's the only thing I see him is dependent personality disorder by two shrinks. Okay, let me go over. I have a couple other things here. Again, tonight, Frank, 8 o'clock panel. I'll be on there for a little bit anyway. I was really honored by Frank, who's my guy, to put me on there with some of the bigger channels. I've actually lost subscribers since the verdict, but it's it's the free way to do it. Hey, I don't like this guy. I'm going to unsubscribe. And in this country, you can do that. So maybe some will, maybe some won't, but whatever. It's a long investigation, and there was many mistakes made. Absolutely. Early on, it was fucked up. This should have been down in 2 or 3 days. When Alan went and saw Doolin and said he was there, he should have been like, hold on, dude, we got to go to the station, or we got to do something here, because, and you tell the suspect, we need to get you out of here. We need to make sure exclude you from all this and everything like that. But it didn't happen. People say bias, people are biased. And I heard someone say it today, and a guy, I can't remember who, because while I was packing and doing things, I've listened to a lot of true crime stuff in the background. Well, thank you, Miranda. I'm okay with my subscribers. I have 1,350 some subscribers, and that blows me away. I'm so proud of that number. I never thought I would get that many. Never, ever, ever. I have no sights on 10,000 or 5,000 or anything like that. If it comes, fantastic. But I love the people that I have. You drew a picture of Mata. Hey, nose picture of Doug Carter was pretty good. I'll give him credit on that. And there's a picture of him with it. Maybe he'll draw a picture of me. That's okay. Well, you know what? It's fine. It seems backwards, but I think it'll all level out in the end. But again, I have 1,350 some subscribers, and they're all fantastic. More want to come, great. But if not, we'll roll like we got it now and still have a good time. Miranda Lee, Doug Carter is her celebrity crush. Anyone ever know if he hooped? He's pretty tall, and he's from Indiana. He looks like he got a good wingspan. Just curious. All right. Where else didn't we see? Yeah, a couple things. Well, RA, we talked about not seeing the girls or bridge guy. Everyone else's timeline, even though Voorhees was said 215, but I don't think that could have been right, but that's what she thought. So at the end of the day, okay. But could Odinism been a reversible error because of the third party or some other guy did it defense in Indiana? An argument was made by an attorney, and I would go back and find out who that was, but I thought that was very interesting. Okay, a couple of things that we know now that we have debunked. Okay, this thing's put to bed for the initial trial. Odinism, right? They wouldn't let him in. They wouldn't listen, there's no nexus. So during the 3 days that they had to prove that Odinism was a thing, they brought a lady up who never went to the crime scene and said, oh, yeah, there's water there. Oh, yeah. Never provided a single case of an Odinist sacrifice in the history of history. Okay, they didn't provide any of that. Went on a stand, major click. They was asked, can you link these actors to this scene? Can you put them there? The answer was no. At that point, it's out. It's over. You have to put them there. Brad Holder has the most solid alibi in all this. Now, I wish they would have let it in. Now would have made the case go longer and longer. But I think if the Odinism was let in, there would have been a quicker verdict, because the people in the jury box who were intelligent people, we knew that from their questions, would have been like, are you fucking serious? For really? I believe that, but interesting point someone brought up anyway. People said the girls were pregnant. We knew that was baloney, but debunked. Family involvement, debunked. Snuff film, debunked. The girls were taken and brought back, debunked. The video was fake, debunked. Photo was taken somewhere else, debunked. So those things have been officially debunked. And you could say, well, what if an appeal? Well, yeah, okay, what if an appeal? If appeal happens, and I'll come back on and say that wasn't debunked, but those things are all debunked. One of the things, and it was mentioned, I mentioned it a couple of days ago, it was mentioned on one of the news stations that Abby and Libby's law might come to this. People who have illegal discovery, who have child pornography and share it, will be charged, and they'll make it more of a tougher charge than what it is right now. So that's something good that could come out of this. People are the police fucked up here. There was no mass corruption thing. And that's fine for those people. The only thing I'd say to those people is if you have an issue, don't call the police. The jury did their job the best that they could. They were plucked out of their lives for a month. They didn't have true crime channels. They weren't following this case. They did their civic duty and rendered a verdict after several hours of deliberation. So they were clearly thought of it, came back and asked for evidence. When they asked for that, I'm like, we're going to get a guilty verdict, my opinion. But I don't know a lot about the courts. And if you're wanting appeal coverage, you're not going to find it here. Go to the legal channels if you want the appeal coverage, because I'm going to be able to help you with that. Will they get a different counsel? I heard that they will. And one of the reasons is one of the things they could go for appeal was ineffective counsel. And if you have the same counsel, you can't do that. I hear that's like a standard type thing, but I don't know that for a fact. Repeating something an attorney said, whose name I didn't write down again. Let's see what else I had. One of the big things that come out of here that really interests me was the courtroom stares, that multiple people said the courtroom stares, all kind of people said he would stare at the Patties. Susan Hendricks said that he stared at her. Multiple people said he was staring at Bob Motto when he was sitting next to his wife. So, it's interesting to me at the very least. We're never going to see video of that for ourselves to go back and look and say, whoa, or, hey, that was nothing, So we have to trust what other people say about it. Hey, Grizz is in the house. I'm going to go back up and answer some. Don Spain is in the house. Got to meet him at one of the walks. He found a really cool rock to sit on and kind of ponder some things without crossing over into Logan's land and getting yelled at like me, Frosty, and Bossy did by Ryan Logan. So if Ron Logan's ever in my chat, I apologize to Ryan for us. We did see the barbed wire, and I didn't know what the purple bands meant. We have it in Pennsylvania too, and I didn't know that. Yeah, one of the big things too for the people that are all out, like I'm not saying that they shouldn't do what they want to do. It's free country. If you believe it's strong enough, then fight for it. But you can do that without trying to drag others down. But go and fight for it. But for a guy that doesn't have an alibi, this isn't one of those cases in the '60s where they convict a black teenager or something, or even going back further, like an Emmett Till thing. This just isn't that. I don't see it, but I think you could do it without involving the families in it, and go ahead and go on about it. And if people are passionate about it, anything you're passionate about in life, you should follow. We could disagree. You shouldn't do that, but you're passionate. Well, go get it then. Follow it. I do too, but you know what? Eventually they will. The universe takes care of all of us. If we're living right, we'll get something good in return. If we're not, it'll catch us. No problem, Scout. Good to see you. Morning, trying to increase. Yeah. Well, it's working for them. So, at the end of the day, I don't know what to say, but I just try to give you guys like some, if you're thinking about it, and how could somebody, attack family and murder children? Just trying to give you some insight on it. And it's not true in every case, but their shit wasn't great growing up, and that's not their fault. And it's unfortunate for them, but you can't continue that cycle. You got to stop it. Stop that cycle. Yeah. Oh, I listen to Deb everything. Deb had things all throughout the trial a couple times a day. She'll read it to you. I don't know. Is that from what happened early on? I know that there was going to be something afterwards. I didn't think they were going to get this board or anything. Maybe just getting like a stern letter with the defense leaking exhibits. And I absolutely think that stuff was left out for Mitch Westerman to do what he did. And I was convinced of that when he was represented by someone from Baldwin's firm. But that doesn't mean that I'm right, but that convinced me, in my opinion. Anyone's evidence, corruption, jury tampering, RAs, that's appropriate avenues to report. Yeah, absolutely. Take it, send it to find out who his attorney is going to be on appeal, send it to them, get in touch with them. And hopefully, for your sake, if you think he's guilty, that they'll find a better YouTuber to cite than the last guys. Pooh Man. Oh, okay. I didn't see your first comment. Oh, yeah, right. Thank you for saying that, though. And you guys got a quarterback. I told you that, I think, a couple weeks ago. You guys got a franchise quarterback up there in May, in my opinion. Something I could never do is really draw. I was pretty good coloring. Can't stand Jinx. Jinx is a beacon of light. I know people like to attack and do this or that, but it doesn't sway my opinion of her at all. I know her well. Buttered. I make breakfast bagels as my go-to at various times of the day. Yeah. I was reading another article, and they're calling this to some other guy defense did it 2.0. And what attorneys are doing is they're bringing up other people that they've investigated before and trying to pin it on them. So they're looking at their investigation and say, well, who did they look at? And then they'll dig into those people. And this is what the article said. When they have no other defense but to do that, because their client probably did commit the crime, that they start to do this. I just read that today. It's an interesting article. I'll share it. on my community page here. Grizz, I agree with you. I just don't know if there was any way to get them there. And if I would have been Nick McClellan, I would have said, listen, if we could logistically do this, that's fine. But Richard Allen has to be there because I would want to see his reaction at that crime scene and how they would be. I would bet he'd have sunglasses on, maybe heavy clothing. They would try to temper any reaction that he might have a visceral reaction to that crime scene. Visceral. I have a few every now and then, not too often. I like my medical marijuana though. You guys know that. That's my go-to. Yeah, the statistics, I didn't know that either. I looked that up too, and it's I was like, wow, very, very low. But hey, Shane. I think you're good, Big Fish. I'm trying to catch up with everybody here. But for me, anyways, this is kind of be the last like Delphi episode. Like I said, if something happens down the line, we'll talk about sentencing on the 20th. If something happens down the line and something gets flipped around or this or that, but I just wanted to come in here and kind of put a bookend on this for me. Obviously, I'll be on the Flora. I'll be covering, Huerman. I think that's a lot of interesting stuff that we can learn from that. And we'll get back to the old reason I came here originally, the old, maybe I can't do it every Sunday night, but I work one Sunday a month, but plus football season's going on. Maybe we'll pick a different day and we'll do the true crime back to the serial killer series where we talk about different things. I want to do more stuff on Manson. There's a couple of people I'd like to have on and talk about the West Memphis Three that know a lot more than me. One of them is Burn After Reading. I don't know if he watches any of this or not, but Kevlar148gmail.com. That case is fucking. I was sure twice I knew what happened in that case. Now I'm like, I don't know for sure. I think I know one guy's innocent, one guy's involved, but I don't know for sure. And I'd love to hear other people's opinions on it. But, for me, this is kind of it. We've had a full adjudication of guilt, double murder, Richard Allen. I'm not into the legal process of the appeals. I couldn't even tell you how long they take. I've heard people say 2 years in Indiana, maybe 3. I don't know. I can't help that there. But if people feel that this wasn't justice done, then there's ways to do about it. There's ways or things you can do. Coming on here and trashing other people, in my opinion, hurts your cause more than it helps it. But it's a free platform and it's a free country. So everyone can kind of do whatever they want to do, So I get it. But I think the right man's there, and I think that interesting to hear in a sentence. I would assume Gall would give whatever maximum that she could give. I've heard 140 years. I don't know that for sure, but I didn't know that. He probably is. I think he drinks days and gets up for Frosty's lives. Yeah, Fig had this early on. No question about it. I heard Ruckus talking about him the other day, and I talked to Fig too about stuff, and he was like, "Hey, man, that just didn't happen." And I was kind of convinced certain things happened, that I was wrong about many things in this case, for sure. My initial POIs were wrong. I'm glad I didn't come out and start blaming people. And a lot of the connections, I thought the Kleins were involved, or not the Kleins, Keegan Klein was involved somehow, some way, even if he didn't know him. Hey, there's Frank. Frank's at 8 o'clock with a pan on if you want to put in who's coming up or not. I'm going to get out of here in a couple minutes. The Contemplation Rock, yes. That's a really cool spot. We were out there in April, and he was kind of like, I was hanging out here. And it's, you could see, like he says, the crime scene, like the creek, it's a cool place to sit, even if nothing ever happened there. And then you kind of sit there and you realize that you're like, like sitting up and looking down at where things, where the girls were discovered at. And it's It's a very cool. It's a different feeling, and it's anytime I go out there again, I would always sit there for a minute or two. Yeah, Frank at 8:00. Should have a good panel. I was glad he invited me. I'm excited to see who else is on there. I'll be able to pop in for about 20 or 30. So somehow I ended up like 8, 9 suitcases, right? I never in my life bought a fucking suitcase, but as I'm cleaning my basement out, so I've been packing my clothes in them instead of boxes and just wheeling them up the steps. I have no idea where they all came from. My kids are like, oh, I don't know. Like the suitcases just don't appear in your basement. And they're like, there's 2 sets and the rest are mismatched. And I have no idea where they're from. Mind control used on the jury. Well, if you've ever seen Dinner for Schmucks, brain control is better than mind control. Please go check out if you have an opportunity to Flora, watch the channels those days on the 17th. See who's live, see who's doing coverage. They'll do great videos of it, I'm sure. And definitely would like to get out there next year at this time. Hopefully sooner. Hopefully something happens in Flora. And, for me, that's kind of like the big one that I really, really, I think needs to get solved next for me personally. Check out the channel. I don't understand. So there's something called allocution. You can allocute and commit to all your crimes. I don't know if you can do it or if that's part of a plea deal early on. I don't know. But if Richard Allen wants to address the families, I'm sure he'll be able to. But they scheduled a whole day. They scheduled a whole day for witnesses to appear, whatever you want to call that, sentencing witnesses, or that's not the right term for it, but they can make pleas, his family and their family and things like that. So she scheduled a whole day for that. So that could be that could be a very gut-wrenching day if you see the families of Libby and Abby up there talking, especially if you see an Anna Williams or someone that, hasn't been out in front as much. Miranda's Lee's looking for a man who bakes banana nut bread and chocolate chips. So anyone knows anybody and that fits that category, please send them Miranda's way. I'm reading Shane's comment. Makes me think Luke and Butch. Well, the chat is really flying tonight. Outstanding. Wait a minute. Hold on a second here. Hey, El Gaucho. Is that El Gaucho? The El Gaucho? 63 clocks. 5 memberships. Thank you, 63 clocks. Jinx, 5 memberships. Thank you, Jinx. We do the first and last Tuesday of every month because I'm off. If you're new, this Tuesday I put one up and I set it private so no one could talk. And I talked for an hour. Didn't know if anybody was ever in there or not. So I owe you one for that. I'll catch you up. It's weird, like I want to say no now, but I always thought that. I did. I always thought that. I hate roundabouts, Ruckus. Up here in the north, we have shit called stop signs, and I know you know that. Why they going to put these goddamn confusing roundabouts in is beyond me. Really. Thank you, Kevin, your chat, for allowing me to ask questions. No, you're good, big fish. I think that's what it's all about. You know what I mean? You might think that he's innocent, but you obviously you in your heart want justice for the girls. And at the end of the day, I'm okay with that. We're good. We are good. Absolutely. Other people, I'm sure, might not be sure. Hey, look, I didn't even see she put that, but I knew that's where she was coming from because I've talked to her before. I encourage you to do it. Oh, 2,000 miles. That's further than I am. I encourage you, if you get the opportunity, to do it. It gives you a lot of context into everything. It helps you understand. To me, it helped me understand how people can miss them at night, because we had a hard time finding just certain things marked on trees during the day. And I know things marked on trees are smaller than girls, but it's like you get down there and it's like you're, when you're by the water, you're like the lowest you can be anywhere, right? Because everything goes down, the water goes down. But you're like, you're inundated by these woods, and it's just, you're not familiar with that area. At least I'm not. Yeah, something to see. Go to the floor where the house was at. It's not there anymore, but yeah, empathy is a key trait. If we had more empathy in this country, it would be Tom. I only have I only have Beavis. Actually, one of my kids took the butthead one when he moved out. So I'm not partial to one or the other. And Tom, I don't know if you've seen it's a couple months old, the Saturday Night Live skit with Beavis and Butthead within the last year. If you haven't seen it, when you're done with this show, go watch it. You will have tears in your eyes. It's so funny. Tears. I mean, it's just if you haven't seen it, anyone that hasn't seen it, it's Beavis and Butthead. The spoutabouts. I'm not a roundabout person. We drive the top sale. It's like, oh, babe, here comes a roundabout. Anyways, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to go over to my new home here and have dinner with Brooke and hang out for a while. And I love you all. Fantastic chat. I'm glad everyone feels welcome to come in here, and you don't have to agree with me or anything like that. But Delphi has brought me lifelong friends. So when I think of Libby and Abby, I'm going to be very sad that everything happened to them. And then I'm going to try to say, what did they bring? Their friendship and their catching of a killer and their bravery has taught us all something. And regardless of who you think did this, we can all agree that and carry that torch on. And, people that believe Richard Allen's innocent, I'm sure you've met people that are friends for life. And some of you guys thinking I'm going to be your friend for life. And the next case, we might be on it. 2 cases down the line, we might disagree again, but that's what family does, at the end of the day. So I look at a lot of you like that. I truly do. You guys are fantastic. So I'm going to say tentacles, even though there wasn't as many as I expected, but I expect to hear Doug Carter have a press conference, and I expect to announce if he played basketball or not, because I'm interested. And you'll say, Coach Kev, I was a small forward, and then he'll riddle it somehow, and I'll have to figure out what he's talking about. You guys are the best. Floral Walk coming up November 17th. If you could get there, get there. And that's what's awesome about it. You disagree with everything you say, and you LOL it at the end. That's what it's about. That's right there. That's YouTube for you. That's the true calm genre we should have. I love it. Thank you all so much. I'll be talking to you soon. And the next time you see me, I'm going to be in a different house. Next time you take a test, it's going to be in a different school. If I could quote the Goonies. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. I'm partial to my guys, my gals, but this is the best chat on YouTube, in my opinion. Check me out around 8 o'clock on Frank Meister. He's going to have a great show tonight with a panel where he's doing a post-adjudication show. All right, Coach Kev.